Atma Namaste, everyone. Welcome to the Pranic Healing Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jason Wan, and coming to the end of 2024 and starting the year 2025, we know that writing down our New Year's goal is going to be another big topic for all of us. And part of what we teach in pranic healing and on this podcast is tools and methods and different ways of achieving your goals faster, better, and more efficiently. In today's episode, we're going to talk about Kriyashakti, which was developed by Master Choa to help us manifest, materialize our goals and wishes in a rapid and proper way. So, in this podcast, we'll talk about sort of the Kriyashakti principles and how they sort of differ from the common manifestation techniques that we all know and hear about. And we'll talk about why these steps taught in Kriyashakti are so important and very important if we look at it from the framework of energy work. So, let's begin. So we all understand that manifestation is essentially a concept where we have an idea, an emotion, and how we can bring that into physical reality in real life. So part of it, a lot of us know the secret, which is that movie which talked about manifestation and really focused on a couple key details, which is visualization and focusing on the feeling for that end result. And we all understand that this connects back to the principles in pranic healing, where our thoughts create our reality. And this goes back to the previous episode where we spoke with Christian on the power of our thoughts and thought forms. Because all of these thoughts, all of these emotions, they carry energy. And this energy is potential energy. It has the potential effect of creating a certain action. Okay. So this is very important because, as we know, if we have certain limiting thought forms, if we have certain emotions that are holding us back, right? Although we might not see it physically in terms of our inner state of being, those are sort of the core obstacles that we must overcome, that we must release in order to manifest and materialize things properly. Okay. And this is what is taught in Kriya Shakti. So Kriya Shakti is two words. Kriya, which means action, Shakti, which means power. Okay. So when you combine the two, action and power, right, that creates manifestation. So what is different though in Master Choa's system with Kriya Shakti is the core concept of purification. And just how I spoke about how we have certain limiting thought forms, limiting belief systems, right? Purification is very important in this scenario because, again, we might want something. It's very easy to say that you want something. It's very easy to say, I want to lose a certain amount of weight. I want to make a certain amount of money. I want to get this material good, right? It's very easy to say those things. I want, I want, I want. But when it comes to finally taking action towards getting it, right? Steps towards getting it, that's where these limiting belief systems, these emotions come in. And part of the process of what we must do is we must, again, release it. So, and again, in pranic healing, which is very different from Reiki, is that we have the cleansing and energizing technique. Okay. We always do cleansing first because we must purify, we must remove the energetic congestion, the things that are blocking our normal energetic flow in our body in order to receive what is good. Okay. The analogy I like to give is, before you wax a hardwood floor, you want to sweep it. You want to make sure it's clean. And same thing for our energy, same thing for our energy body, same thing for our chakras. Right. As you know, if you're listening to this podcast, you might be aware of the fact that our energy is a reflection of our thoughts, our emotions, and our physical body. Okay. So the condition of our chakras, the condition of our aura, the condition of our energy body are all metrics that we must use, be mindful of, and also master in order to create, to manifest, to materialize the things that we want. So that's why purification is so, so important. Purification is really the foundation and core pillar behind pranic healing and a lot of Master Choa's teachings, because at the end of the day, we understand that we're spiritual beings living this human experience. And as spiritual beings, you might want to ask, okay, where did I get this limiting belief system from? Probably from childhood or probably from past lives, right? Because we understand we're souls, we're immortal beings, but we have carrying baggage from past incarnations. Okay. So, this touches again on the principles of how we can not only do healing and do the work for this lifetime, but also for the things that have connected us to the past. Okay. So, again, purification is very important because purification leads to clarity, and clarity is very, very important. Just as you are in a car, you're in a driver's seat, right? You have a certain goal. You want to get to a certain destination, right? At the end of your drive, you must know where you're starting and you must know where you're ending. Okay. Clarity is very important because that's like the GPS for your map. Okay. You know what roads you're going to take in order to get there. So, with purification, you have better clarity because you're no longer having these negative emotions, right? About doubt, fear, maybe anger towards yourself, anger towards other people, any beliefs that you don't deserve it, beliefs that, money is going to be hard for you, beliefs that, love or relationships is going to be hard for you. All those are cleared out of the way. Think of it like you're driving down road and all these potential obstacles on your drive are removed. So your drive is going to be much easier. Okay. And that's why purification creates clarity. Because if you don't have clarity, you're going to find out that you don't have clarity in the middle of your drive. And that's what happens with a lot of people trying to do these traditional ways of manifestation. Because when you try to do the traditional way of manifestation, which is not wrong, it's just you come into these issues, right? You find out like, oh, actually, I didn't realize that would come up, right? Because as I say, be careful what you ask for, because the things that you ask for, yes, you have that direction, you're going down that route, but you might hit into certain things that need to be worked on in order for you to move forward, right? As people say, part of healing is you'll have these old layers, old patterns, old energies resurface, reemerge, and you'll have to deal with it. And if you don't expect to deal with it, that's where a lot of people fail. That's where a lot of people think like, it didn't work because, I came into this obstacle. Rather that the obstacle was actually part of your path in terms of materializing and manifesting what you want. Okay. So having clarity is very important because you understand that that's going to be part of the process, and you understand that you've done some of the work to clear some of these obstacles out of your road towards this manifestation, towards this materialization. Okay. So again, purification creates clarity. And once you have clarity, okay, that's where, again, that's the plan, right? You know where you're going from your start to your end destination. The last thing that we have to do is action. Okay, that's where Kriyashakti comes from, right? Kriya again means action. Shakti means energy or power. Okay, action and power creates manifestation, right? What do you want? You want in your life? What that becomes materialized. Okay, so action is very important because, as many of you might understand, especially if you're into energy healing, if you're into spirituality, if you're into meditation, yoga, we tend to activate our upper chakras a lot, right? Our upper chakras meaning from our heart and above, right? Our heart, our throat, and crown, etc. So the problem is when you have people that tend to be what I call upside down triangles, is your upper chakras are very strong, are very activated, but if your lower chakras are not equally as strong and activated, that's where action becomes a problem. And I'm the first one to admit this because what happens is, very importantly in Kriya Shakti, is your basic chakra is going to be very important in the scenario, because your basic chakra, as you know in pranic healing, it relates to your musculoskeletal system, relates to the the physical health of your body, of course, but also relates to the psychological function of getting things done, taking action, completing things, right? So this is very important because, again, remember what manifestation is you having an idea, a desire, and taking action to getting it. So the action part is very, very, very important because that's what creates the outcome. And again, for very spiritual people on the spiritual path, doing energy healing, meditation, yoga, your basic chakra tends to be the weakest. Okay, just because all these practices tends to emphasize and activate, again, the heart and the crown and above. Okay, where this comes in is very important because you need to have proper action. And what do I mean by this? So it's not just about feeling a certain emotion, it's not just about visualization, right? Because those anyone can do, right? Without action, those things are just daydreams, right? But with action, that's when you can actually materialize your thoughts and your emotions into something physical, okay? And that starts again by working on two things. So first, energetically, as we know, as healers and as energy healers, you work on the basic chakra. The basic chakra, when it's healthy, your physical body is healthy, but you can also psychologically tend to work on tasks and complete tasks in a orderly, proper manner. So again, if you're driving from New York to California, you know what road to take, and all now you have to do is put your hands on the steering wheel, put your foot on the gas and brake, and go on. So proper action is very important, and this comes back to one of Master Choa's virtues. I wouldn't say Master Choa's virtues, but the virtue of being a spiritual person, and one of the virtues is called constancy of aim and effort. It's also called one pointedness. So think of your energy like, there's a great analogy I learned from one of my teachers, and she said that your energy, your focus is like, it can be like a water droplet, right? Just like from a sink. You know how you turn on the sink and water starts dropping? Or your energy can be a laser, right? A laser, which is like, this little beam of light, and it's focused on one point and it's constantly aiming at that direction. So when I think of the virtue of constancy of aim and effort, of one pointedness, I think of a laser. Okay. So if your if your energy is focused, highly focused on one thing constantly all the time, that's how you achieve manifestation, because you're constantly taking action to create outcomes that move you in the direction of your desired future, of your desired state. Versus people, again, that have weaker basic or root chakras, they will have that, little droplet, right? They'll take a couple actions here and there, but it's not consistent, right? It's like water droplets. It's not consistent. So you're not going to get the ideal progress that you need to materialize, to manifest. Okay. So again, that's why action is so important. And at the end of the day, you really have to keep at it, as they say, right? There's also a great saying that I heard today. You're only you're only one day away from your next goal, right? Achieving your next goal. You're only one step away. You're only one video away. You're only one relationship away from getting whatever you want in your career, in your life, in your relationships, in work and finances, things like that. So it is a constant process. Again, nothing happens overnight, as we understand. But with these principles, it really helps you to understand how these universal laws really work, and how you can use these tools as taught by Master Choa in Kriyashakti to supercharge your way getting there, with while avoiding some obstacles, or getting some of the obstacles cleared off first. And this goes back to one of my last key talking points is, in Master Choa's teachings in pranic healing, we emphasize something called the golden rule. Okay, the golden rule is basically whatever you give out into the world, you shall receive. Okay, so hence, okay, if you want something, if you want to live a good life, you want to do things that are beneficial for other people. Okay. And this kind of is a little counterintuitive in terms of mainstream manifestation, because what this tells us, what this involves is like, hey, if you want, let's say for everyone, hey, if you want more money, if you want a better financial condition, instead of focus on receiving money the whole time, right? Also spend some time giving. Also spend some time giving to charity, to people in need, to the people, places, situations that relate to what you want. Okay, so this is because whatever you put in you get out. So when you donate, when you give to charity, you are energetically entitled to receive that energy coming back to you. Okay, that's why they say it's called the law of attraction. And I can't believe I just said the law of attraction by almost a 17-minute mark, without mentioning it earlier before. But law of attraction, again, what you give is what you receive, right? So if you're a good person with a good heart and you want abundance and prosperity, you give that, the universe will automatically attract that back to you. It will give that back to you. As we have said, you're spiritual beings living this human experience, and one of the core universal laws is the law of oneness, right? We are all connected. So whatever action, whatever emotion, whatever thought you direct at another person, it comes back to you. Whether you realize it at that moment, in the next week, in the next month, in the next year, or the next life, that depends on our circumstances. But do know that's what the golden rule is, right? So you treat people how you want to be treated. Again, in the amazing teachings of Master Choa, he taught that this is a very core principle for us, because what happens is you're using the law of karma. And again, I'm shocked that I'm saying karma at almost the 18-minute mark and didn't mention it. But karma, again, is the law of action and reaction, right? So if you have good karma, you tend to manifest better. Why? Because you just have good karma. You've done good deeds, and you are entitled for certain things to come back to you faster. Versus if you don't have such a, let's say, good karmic bank account, right? You will run into certain challenges more often than not. It's just the state of what your karma's at. So, why giving is so important is because when you give, you alleviate some of that karma. You remove some of that resistance, some of that potential obstacle that might come up in the future. So, again, this is so important because mainstream manifestation techniques do not talk about this. And that's why Kriyashakti is a very balanced class. It is a very balanced course that teaches you these energetic principles that helps you, again, have purification, remove certain thoughts, emotions that doesn't serve you, which eventually you'll run into, right? And because you remove them, you'll have clarity, right? You have clarity, you have a certain plan, you know where to start, you know where to end. And from that, you can take the proper action to materialize those goals. With all that being said, throughout all of this is the point of the law of karma, which is the golden rule, right? You will give in order to receive. And when you do that, there have been many successful stories in Kriya Shakti where people manifest, materialize the things very quickly and almost miraculously. And why? Because they had the fuel, they had the extra boost by using the law of karma, using the law of cause and reaction to their benefit, right? And again, this is not new because we use this also in energy healing. We know that this happens, right? Even though it's invisible to us. So to summarize, in this episode, we talk about Kriya Shakti, right? Kriya means action, Shakti means power. And when you combine those two, that's when you get manifestation, materialization. And the core concepts I talked about in this episode was that in Master Choa's teachings, there are key differentiating aspects from the common manifestation techniques that are being taught and being spread nowadays. So that comes with purification, okay, which creates clarity, which creates better actions, right? Those three are very important. And with all that is the golden rule, which is basically you give to receive, which speeds up and helps you manifest things in a more gentle, smoother, and faster way. And I think that everyone can agree we all want to manifest like that. So if you've enjoyed this episode, please to leave a rate and comment down below. I would highly appreciate it. And if you really love this episode, please consider subscribing and supporting the podcast. The Pranic Healing Podcast, its goal is to spread the teachings in a way that is understandable for everyone and excites everyone and gets everyone to start taking classes, right? And if you're already a pranic healer, you probably heard of what I'm talking about. But again, practice is what makes perfect, as they say. So that's all for this episode. Thank you so much. I hope this helps us get clarity on our 2025 goals. And I hope that all of us can continue to manifest our goals in service of humanity and Earth. With that being said, take care, and I will see you in the next podcast.